くぞ。
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is Forgo, and today we're going to be talking about the Imprint Stones in the New Year's Pass and trying to figure out what characters you would be better off to put the certain stones on. And I want to remind you about a couple things. But before we get into this video, the first thing I want to do is just give a sincere apology to the players that took my advice from past weeks where I said dot effects don't stack from the Imprint Stones. I sincerely apologize for that because what's happened is some players, they went ahead and leveled up certain stones that don't have the same dot effect as the character that they're using. And now that we know that here in Guild Raid, we have these stones here that offer the extra attack. It's all burn, they're all burn, but they offer the extra attack stat, and all the other stones just offer HP, then you got a dot effect, and then you got the attack to a certain type fighter. What players have done is, say for example, they're, equipping stones on K. Well, they'd only have one burn damage stone on him, and then they have a shock damage, and then maybe have another shock damage, or maybe have a bleed and another bleed, because they were thinking that the dot effects don't stack. And a lot of these players have already leveled up them stones, and because of the bad advice that I gave them in past videos. And I just want to, again, just apologize to all of you. I'm so sorry. I really thought that they didn't stack originally. That was a lot of the feedback I was getting. I don't want to put the blame on anyone else because I have to hold myself accountable for this. And again, I am sorry. All I can do is promise you that I will test things in the future before I open my big mouth and give you any kind of advice about what you should be doing with certain things in the game. So again, I do apologize for that sincerely. Hopefully the game will give us another way to unpair gold Imprint Stones, because currently we can't. I'm really praying that they implement something in the future that we can. That way, those of you that did level up stones, I'm in the same boat. I have stones that I leveled up that are just completely, in my opinion, useless now. They're useless. So I'm really hoping they come up with another unpairing system where we can unpair these other stones that we're not going to use and put them on characters that they're more optimal on. So the first thing I want to remind you guys of is the super mission. This is the last day that this is going to be going on. Make sure you do all of these things. Make sure you get your memory, get all of your resources from here. Also, make sure that when you go into the roulette, that you craft your last memory of Elizabeth. This is only going to be going on for 2 more days. I'm going to go ahead and do this while I still remember, because this is the last memory I need. But make sure that you do this because it's only going to be up for, today and then tomorrow. Now let's talk about these Imprint Stones in here. So there's 3 Imprint Stones that you actually get. Now this video is really going to pertain to people that, are not free to play, people that did spend money on this pack. I was actually getting this as a request quite a bit from players. So I just want to address that request. And there's 3 stones in here. This first stone is really no big deal. This is a stone that you can equip to any dot effect that you want. And, they're all of them are the same as far as like circle, square, and hexagon. You can get a circle, square, or hexagon. You can choose between all 3 of them. And here in the first one, it's just HP, dot effect, and then to whatever type fighter you have. So these stones are really no different than what we get from the dungeons, from the spider robot. So I'm not going to be addressing this stone at all. But I am going to talk about what to do with these other stones. This one here and this one here. So this stone here, and again, you can choose between circle, square, and hexagon. They all have the same stats, but you get an increased power charge rate. This is going to probably go up to 8%. And then you get the increased damage to a dot effect, or you get the extra dot effect, and you get the extra damage to a certain type fighter. Now this is a pretty insane stone, especially for PvE, because right now currently the PG rate stone we have doesn't offer extra attack. So it's really, you really need to know what character you want to prioritize as far as putting this character on. If I was choosing this stone, I would definitely choose the square. The reason I would choose the square is because We already have other stones that you can jack up, like from Guild Raid, that you can get for Circle and Hexagon and get the extra attack in both stats. And that's the stones I'd be trying to get. And I would definitely put this stone on a character that you're going to use a lot. Characters that are going to be very, very useful in certain game modes that otherwise won't be as useful without this PG gain. And then in the other stone, this one here, it's the same thing, except now we don't have PG rate. Now we have increased attack. Now this is really interesting because this stone here is exactly like we get from the Guild Raid because it has burn on it. However, they offer all the other dot effects in here as well. So you see shock, you see bleed. So if you want to put this on a bleed character, you can get extra attack, extra bleed, extra attack. Like this stone, if it was green, would be insane for Guinness. Because we know the dot effects do stack, this actually would be a better stone. And it really kind of irks me a little bit that the game gives us these things later. And it's like we already leveled up stones and it's now we're thinking, well, crap, this would have been better. Now I'm going to, I just leveled up a stone for Guinness and I leveled up a burn stone for him from the Guild Raid that has extra attack and extra attack, right? But this stone would actually be better than that stone because it offers extra bleed. So that's a really bum deal that they did this, to be perfectly honest. So let's talk about what characters you want to slap these stones on. Now, the way that I would evaluate this is, the characters that you're going to use the most often in the game, and definitely the most relevant game modes. In RHD, Reviving Hell's Dungeon, it doesn't matter. All that matters is the level of your character. That's it. It doesn't matter if you have Imprint Stones. It doesn't matter if you have capsules. The level of your stone, of your character, and your awakened level of your character, and just card sets, of course. And that's pretty much it. That's all that matters. I'm up at tier 43. There's plenty of characters I've used with no Imprint Stones, nothing, and doing just fine. They don't need it in that game mode. However, in the Elemental Events, in the Guild Raid, in Spider Robot, in the Team Relay Dungeons, all these things do come into play. And really the best characters, in my opinion, for these stones are characters that honestly don't need the stones currently in the game. Now, this isn't for everybody, but for example, Dellen here. Dellen, we already got Imprint Stones for, so he really doesn't need it. But if you were going to put that PG rate stone on him and put another stone on him, Dellen would be a good choice. You would use him in Guild Raid. You would use him in Spider Robot. He gets used in all the relay dungeons. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them. He's just insane. He only has 15% PG rate in his core, so he would be absolutely insane. Iori doesn't need it. Even though he does get used in a lot of multiple game modes, he already has 30% PG rate in his core, plus he doesn't have a dot effect. So he isn't going to benefit from that. So you're better off just using the Guild Raid stones and slapping those on him, in all honesty. Rachel, it's the same thing. Rachel is not top tier in PvE. I mean, she is insane, don't get me wrong. But characters like Dellen, these attack type characters, just have better attack stats. They just do more damage overall, and there are other things that come into play, but they just do more damage. The videos you're going to see of people doing over 500 million in Guild Raid don't have characters like Rachel, or 700 million in Guild Raid, 500 million in Spider Robot. They're just not using her because she just isn't as strong as some of these other characters like Dellen. Now, The Rock actually would be a good choice. He is an attack type. He's extremely powerful. He does have bleed, and he has no PG in his core. So he would really be one of the better options. You could slap those Imprint Stones on if you have this guy. Pretty Zero has no dot effect, so I wouldn't even put him on her. And that's another thing, guys. If they don't have dot effect and you slap those stones on them, they're not really benefiting from it. So for a character like this, and the same with Iori, I think the PG rate stone with that extra dot effect and the extra attack would just be more suited on a character with dot effects, so you can just double up on that damage. K would be absolutely insane. In fact, if you look at K right now, my K has a PG rate stone because in the Immortal Dungeons, he absolutely needs this. And you'll use him like crazy in Guild Raid on hard, but he won't be getting used against a Spider Robot. So again, you're spending money on the pass. Maybe this wouldn't be the best choice because of that reason. But, and see, and look, and this is what I'm talking about, by the way, what I said a while ago about leveling up certain stones. Look at this. I have these burn stones on him, and he's a burn character, luckily. But if I would have leveled up this stone on another character, like Guinness here, look at this. I got this shock damage stone here, right? I got this stone here with burn. If I'd used that bleed stone on Guinness, it'd be even better, which is kind of a bummer. So now I'm looking at that stone thinking it's kind of useless. It's not, but that's kind of how I'm looking at it. But K would be absolutely insane for that PG rate stone. However, keep in mind, you're not going to be using him on expert mode in guild raid. And that is a game mode where the best imprint stones for free are there. That's where the best ones are, unless they start implementing these other imprint stones that have double attack and dot effects on them in the game. Because currently, the only place I know where we can get them is from the pass. Nameless actually would be a really good choice. He does have 15% PG rate in his core. You see I have a PG stone on him. He's used in multiple game modes, but again, not in guild raid. He's not my top pick, but he's up there. I'd say he's like tier 2, not tier 1, really for the stone. Tier 1 would be Dellen if you don't have an imprint stone. The Rock, honestly, probably the Rock would be tier 2 because he's definitely good in the Spider Robot and the guild raid. If you don't have, if you're not using, Iori, but Iori's already in the game, and honestly, he's better. He just does more damage. His survivability is good, but when you get him leveled up, you'll find that he just is better. You're just going to do a lot more damage. I've tested these two, and honestly, Iori his power is just insane. Insane. Even with the same card set on him. Ignis is another choice that you can put the PG rate stone on. He actually does need it. But you can see I don't even use any stones on him currently. Personally, I just don't think he'd be the best choice because so far I haven't needed to really slap stones on him. Guinness already has 30% PG rate in his core. He would be a decent candidate because honestly, Guinness gets used everywhere. Spider Robot, Guild Raid. He would actually be an insane choice for those stones. Because we do know the bleed stacks, so he would be actually very good, but he just doesn't need the PG rate. That's the thing, he doesn't need it. He already has 30% PG rate. Would it be beneficial to him? Yeah, it would. And also in the Immortal Victor dungeon, you don't need PG rate. The Rio cards pretty much eliminated that. If you have Rio set cards on the characters, they're just going to build up their PG insanely fast. So you don't really need it. So Guinness, he's definitely a tier 1 character in PvE, but I don't know if he's the best. He's definitely good though. He's definitely good and you wouldn't regret it. Orochi and Rugal, you would get free imprint stones if you level them up 3. I'm not going to talk about them. Mukai, nope, I would not do it for him. He's a great character, but nope. Rugal, nope, same thing. He's got 30% PG rate in his core. I wouldn't do it. Ash just isn't good enough. Eileen would be another insane character to put the stones on. Honestly, Eileen, Dellen are freaking just top tier for those stones because they have dot effects and because you get the double attack on attack type characters. They're used everywhere. They would be just absolutely insane if you don't have the 7 nice stones. If you have the 7 nice stones, I wouldn't worry about it and just level up the 7 nice stones and use those on these characters. Although, just so you know, the stone that you get from the pass is better. It is better. Yeah, you get the PG rate here, right? But you can put that PG rate here and get the extra 12% attack. Well, no, actually, no, this stone would be better. Never mind, you're getting the extra attack. No, just stick with the 7 nice stones. I'm sorry, Vanessa, nope. Maxima would be a decent choice, but, again, it's really going to depend on your roster and the characters you have. I know a lot of people don't have Eileen. I know a lot of people don't have Dellen. So Maxima might be a good choice for you. Pre-zero or pretty big, no. Gentoki, another amazing choice for PG rate. He has 15% PG rate in his core, and he is a blue fighter. And the reason I bring up the blue is because against Immortal Vulcan, which is very hard, he is just an insane character. And honestly, having that PG rate here would be a massive benefit to this character. It really would. It'd be a massive benefit to him. He gets used in a lot of game modes. Some people even use him in Guild Raid because of his bleed explosion. If you time things right, you can do a lot of damage because of that explosion. But that's something else, by the way, to keep in mind. Gintoki removes the bleed. So you will get that sudden burst of bleed explosion, but you'll lose it. But the PG rate would be nice. Honestly, though, he'd be like a tier 2, in my opinion. And then these other characters, I wouldn't do it. Nakaruru, Geese, I would not. Geese would be an okay choice, but he just isn't optimal anymore, really. There's just a lot better characters for all these game modes. I mean, he's decent, but because he only gets his super armor every 13 seconds based on doing a blast skill, it just makes him a little bit annoying to play. You really want to use damage strikers or PG strikers whenever you're playing in certain game modes, other than the dungeons, which you don't use strikers. And I just find, I don't even use Geese, which sucks because I love him, but I don't use him. Karate, he would be a decent choice, but he has 30% PG rate in his core. Wouldn't do it. Kyo, again, has lots of PG rate. He just doesn't need that kind of stone. Zero, nope. Kula is one you could go with, but she's just a character that you're not going to use in really any of these game modes. I mean, you're going to use her in the dungeons. A lot of these characters are going to use in dungeons, but you're not going to use her a lot. And again, I would put those stones on the most optimal characters for them. Characters that you're going to use religiously. Same with Chris, same with Lady Geese. Same with Katsura, Psyche. I mean, all these characters just aren't optimal in any game mode. They're good, but they're just not optimal in any game mode. Same with Xion. Very good. The PG rate would be very nice, having the shock damage. But, again, just not used in multiple game modes. And then, Shane, no dot effects. I wouldn't use it on her. Plus, she has 30% PG rate. Rudy, no dot effects. I wouldn't use it on him. You're better off just give him the Guild Raid stones. Elizabeth, I don't think you even really need it for her, to be honest. And then you're not going to use these characters. I mean, they're just not going to be optimal in other game modes. They're decent PvP tunes or good PvP tunes, but they're just not really optimal in those game modes. Rock here has no PG rate. I mean, but he has no dot effects, so he's not going to benefit. Rio was a great leadership for the dungeons. You could try him, give him the chill. But again, I just don't think he's the best option. So, to me, the best thing you guys can really do is evaluate what character you use the most, or the character that you're working on that you're going to be able to get memories for to use in these game modes. The top picks easily would be, if you don't have the 7 Night Stones, would be Dylan and Eileen. You could definitely put it on Ginnets. They are top picks. The Rock, easily. Gintoki would be a very good choice, but I don't think the best. Actually, The Rock would be a better choice. And another one that I'm going to mention here is Haomaru. Haomaru is an insane character, attack type. He does bleed. He doesn't remove any bleed. And he has no PG rate in his core. So he's actually very good to slap those stones on. Not optimal because you're not going to use them in certain game modes. Like you're probably not going to use them in Guild Raid. And you're not really going to use him in Spider Robot. But he would be really great in some of the Immortal dungeons. Genjuro, he has 30% PG rate. I wouldn't go with that. So, whoops, didn't mean to do that. So my top picks, guys, are characters that just really already have Imprint Stones. Dylan and Eileen. Really, Ginnets would probably be your best bet in all reality. Or The Rock, and I realize The Rock and Eileen and Dylan's are all collab characters, which just shows how powerful these collab characters are currently in the game. Kay would be a really great choice, but again, you're not going to be using him on expert mode and Guild Raid, but these are just all these things you have to take into consideration, What characters are you using in the game modes that you're trying to do better in? And if they have a dot effect and they don't have 30% PG rate and they have, say, a lower PG rate than 30%, like 15 or 20%, then that might be a character you want to put those stones on. We're all in different places in the game. Honestly, I don't even know who I want to put the Imprint Stone on. I really want to do it for Ginnets, but Jesus, I've already leveled up like 6 different stones for Ginnets already. So I have 3 stones that I'm never going to use again, which sucks. You know, and I don't want to level up another one. That would be number 7 for this guy, which is ridiculous. The game really needs to give us an option where we can unpair the gold imprint stones. It's just absolutely ridiculous that you level up a stone and you can't put them on other characters, which is why this video is very important for a lot of you, because the stone that you're going to get from the pass, once you equip it, you can't unpair it. You can't put it on another character. So hopefully this will shed some light on characters that you could put the stones on, maybe characters you shouldn't put stones on. And again, I do apologize to any of you that leveled up your stones based on my advice in past videos. I do apologize for that. So let me know how you're all doing in the game. Let me know what characters you've gotten, what cards you've gotten. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one.